Good evening, everybody. Thanks once again for joining us for Occultists Anonymous, our little corner of geekdom on the internet. We are, as always, sponsored by Roll20 and viewers like you, namely Ryan, Thomas, Noba, Perry, Michael, Brandon, Catfeathers, Josh, and Alexander, Puppeteer, Cinna, ML, Moku, Melissa, Doc the Doomed, Other Michael, V. Arcane, Bernie, Alan Michael, Al, Yusuf Sama. I'm the Yeoman now. Julian, Delora, Jenny, Blood Angel, Jack, Zoltan, Funzo Sue, or Funzoe Sue, Milo V3, Vortex, Adele, Crazy Man 1772, George, Woodfoot, Neomegus, Chris, Shexara, now Homo sapien Neanderthal Camo, Toast, Daniel, Thomas, Taryn, Angfalith, Parker, and Riafio. Thank you very much. Your ongoing support helps us do things like pay our artist for new artwork that we just got some drafts of. It's up on the Patreon page.
Mm-hmm. Quite exciting, everyone.
So I guess where we left off, the crew had, after a brief diversion, saved 13 lives, possibly cured an incurable disease, and pushed the boundaries of science, all while just on a transit trip from point A to point B. So great things are in store for the crew moving forward if that's all they do, just on a get from A to B FedEx sort of quest. We've arrived on the ship. We've had some initial introductions and things like that. And I think that's kind of where we're picking off. The ship has moved out of space dock and is just sort of in transit in the system. Hasn't gone to warp yet or anything like that. There's still a couple of guests on board. Most notably, Captain Kovac Shivari is still on board the Curie. Captain Chuchilor wanted her to hang around.
Indeed.
So I think that's where we're at. We had talked about a couple of scenes that we wanted to have scheduled for tonight. So who wants to start? There's department heads need to meet with their departments, and there's a guest on board, and a couple other things we had sort of cooked up. Who wants to get going first?
I mean, it felt like, the captain had some unfinished business.
Sure, indeed. And she has her own mission to get to her own ship to take command of.
It's important that the captain finishes.
So
I'm happy to defer and wait for you all to have your scenes. No rush.
Well, why don't we start with the captain then? So,
all right, sounds good.
Admiral has gone back to the space dock, so the ship is now free of her presence. So you head down to the officers' lounge where you see Captain Shivari.
Yes.
Just sitting idly, sort of watching the stars drift lazily by the planet Andoria of the viewports below you. And she looks up as you enter.
All right. Well, right before she looks up, as she's gazing at the stars, Captain Chuchilor sits down right next to her, stares at her obliquely, and says, "Beautiful things are hard to take your eyes off, aren't they?"
Dear Laura, you're such a charmer.
I've heard that.
And she turns to face you.
It's good to see you, Kovac.
It's good to see you too. It's been a long time.
It has been. And this mission suggests that it might be many years more before we see each other again.
I've had a look at our planned avenues, our lanes. There might be opportunities to, exchange crew or resupply each other and that kind of stuff.
Be convenient considering the circumstances.
We'll be away from each other, but it's not entirely, beyond the realm of possibility that we might rendezvous from time to time. Especially if there's particularly interesting, stellar phenomenon.
Of course. I imagine that Starfleet would be quite keen on receiving communication sooner rather than later.
True. That's true.
Forgive me for being brash, but I'd like to perhaps be a little more direct than we have been in the past.
Thank God.
That's true, because she's Andorian, but he's only half Andorian. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but I lean into Andorian culture.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So just because of Starfleet protocol and his diplomatic upbringing, he's tried to avoid some of the really explicit statements. But so what he says is, the reason why I'm bringing up the length of this mission is because I've been thinking about my future lately. The last conversations we have hinted at the fact that that's something you think about from time to time.
I'd be lying if I didn't say yes. It is on my mind.
I'm glad to know that. And I don't know exactly what you're thinking, but I wouldn't be surprised if you and I have some consistent thoughts. I'd like to say that we've both chosen Starfleet, and we both understand the Andorian custom of passionate commitment to causes and career.
True.
We also both understand that there's more to life than space lanes and stars.
Indeed. Eventually, if our careers continue on the trajectory that they're on, we won't be in command of starships.
That's right. We might be in command of a fleet.
Or a planet-side posting somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes staying put and seeing the same thing every day can be even more magical traveling through a starscape.
I think we are of the same mind.
All right. Wonderful.
But for the time being, we both have needy mistresses that require our attention and focus.
Indeed.
Although there's certainly time for the occasional distraction.
Dalliance. Dance through
Exactly.
the cosmos.
Rendezvous.
Have you been to your quarters yet?
I have not.
I left
considering
you
you've seen the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Care to give me a
I
tour?
left you a gift there. Why don't we go and open it?
That sounds good to me.
All right. She gets up and you've seen everyone's seen the meme of the girlfriend dragging her boyfriend around the world all over the place, right? So that's basically she's walking you, grabbed you by the hand, and she's marching you through the ship towards your quarters.
Fantastic.
So she didn't it's not to the point, Andorian culture, females often initiate relations with males by beating the hell out of them. So not to that level, but she's definitely in a take charge sort of mood.
Captain Chichalor is totally cool with that.
All right. I think we'll fade to black on that one.
Yeah.
Quickly before chat comes unglued.
And Dr. Hudson.
Hello.
With the ship out of space dock and everyone sort of feeling their way into the new ship, you make your way into the sick bay. You see a couple of orderlies sort of stand their attention, and a young Vulcan comes out from the office area with her hands sort of relaxed at ease behind her back. And she says, Dr. Hudson, I presume. I am Lurak. I'll be working as your nurse during this voyage.
Pleased to meet you.
It's a big crew for just the two of us, so I managed to wrangle a few orderlies to give us a hand and help with some of the other duties and things like that. They have some medic training. Mm-hmm. They have some medic training, but they won't be full surgeons or anything like that, but they can certainly assist us if needs require.
Good to hear. And then, glancing at them at ease.
All right. They relax and get back to. Looks like they're doing an inventory.
Sure.
Of medical supplies.
Lurak. What does she have a title?
Nurse Lurak.
Nurse. Okay.
Yep.
Nurse Lurak.
She's officially a lieutenant, but she would go by nurse.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That seems fitting with me going by doctor. So,
Mm-hmm.
Nurse Lurak, would you kindly show me around a little bit?
Sure.
Get acquainted with our stations.
Yep. She does the standard tour of sick bay, the surgery area, medical bays, and kind of standard outfit. You have a large amount of medical supplies in store, so more than you would expect from a ship of this class. But that makes sense given the mission that you guys are going to be on. So there's enough for like serious action over an extended period. So you should have no issues there. Plus, you also have plenty of equipment for synthesizing new stuff if you need supplies that you've run out of, that kind of thing. So it's definitely a well-equipped medbay. While you're talking, she's you come to expect a certain detachment from Vulcans, and you're not getting that from her. Like, she's engaging and she smiles and things like that. If you want to give me a, okay, my mouse is freaking out. Give me a insight command or insight medicine.
Command.
Sure.
Yeah.
Either one.
While Chris is rolling that quick lore question, I cannot remember. Does the original series have replicators?
They don't, not overtly. They had like food processing units and that kind of stuff, but the basic technologies there are just not fabulous. That's where you get your like orange cube and your blue circle, and, or blue sphere, and yeah.
Can't get Earl Grey hot whenever you want it.
Would my... never mind. It's fine. Oof.
Right. So it definitely comes across as an uncharacteristically personable Vulcan.
Yeah, I think the failure here is more like Dr. Hudson not able to sort of contain his curiosity at that. You are not exactly what I was expecting from a
Vulcan.
Yes.
And she gives you the one raised eyebrow. I understand. I am in many ways not a typical Vulcan.
I did not mean to imply that this was a bad thing.
Oh, no offense is taken. I put significant effort into being different than the typical stereotype for my people. I am fascinated by other cultures and other species. So I have made a significant effort to understand their behaviors and their emotions. So through that work, and especially taking on a medical field, I am better able to relate to my patients, and they are better able to relate to me, and are more comfortable in my presence.
Well, that is wonderful news, as we have a diverse and interesting crew, and you will possibly have heard, but no doubt come to know, I have often been accused of being rather clinical.
Fascinating. Then I think we should be excellent counterpoints to one another.
I certainly hope so.
There is one matter that I wanted to bring to your attention. We have medical histories and scans of most of the crew, but there are some notable exceptions.
Oh?
For example, we don't have detailed medical scans of the commander. I'm sure it was just an oversight.
Hey. Well, that seems like something we should rectify.
Perhaps. They're certainly not required, but given the length of our voyage, if we had a baseline to work with moving forward,
Right.
It might help us identify if there are any problems as we progress through our mission.
Well, seeing as in the mere first hours of action with these folks, I saw them fight alien predators with their bare hands, yes, I think that having good scans of all of our sort of commanding officers is probably for the best.
Would you like me to approach the subject with him, or did you want to take that answer?
I'm certain I will see him later today.
Excellent. If there's anything else, otherwise I'll carry on with the inventory just to make sure that we have all the supplies we were requisition.
Absolutely. Thank you, as you were.
Yes, sir. And she gives a little smile and touches your arm as she's walking by and that kind of stuff. Very non-Vulcan, like Vulcans don't touch. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Except when they give you that pinch.
Commander Kitniel.
Captain, what? Yes.
So, having been relieved, at some point, you end up in the security office.
Sure.
And there you see a tall, sort of imposing Andorian female with a pronounced scar on her face.
Ooh.
She kind of looks up as you get in, and she sort of stands, and there's something just sort of passively challenging about her pose.
And let me see if I can get this. I just realized I might be able to show some of these pictures to chat.
Cool.
Does that work? Hang on. One more time.
Which chat?
Nope. Twitch chat. But let's see.
Oh, I can probably do that. In Twitch chat?
There we go. Well, and specifically, so it shows up for our YouTube guys. Hi, podcast guys. Sorry, I have yet to develop the ability to send pictures via podcast.
As you wave at the podcast people.
Yeah.
You didn't have to tell them that.
No, we had to tell him that. Yeah. So she stands there with that sort of challenging posture for a moment before coming to attention. And she says, Commander.
Yes.
Lieutenant Chivoru.
Yes, Lieutenant.
Much from her appearance, much older than you expect for somebody of a lieutenant rank.
Mm-hmm. And as I have definitely perused her record, I didn't get to pick my team. That's up to the captain. But would I roll to get kind of a quick past stations kind of record for her, or
no, I can give you that for free. She joined Starfleet late. She was definitely several decades later than normally somebody would enroll in Starfleet, like sort of in your early 20s, and she was like in her late 40s when she joined Starfleet. Age relative, right? There's no mention of what she did before that in the Starfleet records that you have, but her service since she joined has been exemplary. She's gotten a couple of decorations, some commendations, and a meritorious service medal.
Gotcha. So just a late start, as far as I have for record. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, backtrack. She had said something.
Yes, she introduced herself.
Yes.
As Lieutenant Chivoru.
Chivoru.
Mm-hmm.
Lieutenant Chivoru is my chief of security, if I remember correctly.
Should be your number 2.
Right.
Yep.
Well, I don't know what time it is ship-wise, but yes. Good evening, Lieutenant. How has the shift passed?
The workups and the shakedown cruise from Doria passed without an issue. The security team performed admirably during their trials. I don't think we'll have any problems moving forward.
Okay.
There's a couple of personality conflicts, but I'm confident that we'll sort them out.
Okay. Well, yes, please make note of any of them. And notably, if we have any interpersonal issues throughout the ship, I wish to be notified of them, no matter how small. Basically, I'm going to handle them before the captain has to deal with them. That makes sense?
Yeah, if you wish, sir, or you could leave me to handle them.
we'll get to the leaving them to you once we're out a ways. At this point is not a trust issue for you. It is more of a me getting to know the troublemakers of the ship ahead of time.
Understood.
If I know ahead of time that so-and-so is a problem, then when they come up, I will not be surprised. I don't like to be surprised. Do you?
Occasionally, but understood. No surprises for the command.
So, surprise birthday parties, yes. Ambush out in the woods, no. Understood. What can you tell me about yourself?
Might perhaps be the other way around, actually.
Probably.
I'm happy to be here. I'm really excited for the mission. I've got your back, no matter what we're doing. But I'm also going to always speak my mind. If I think you're making a mistake, I'll tell you. But the decisions are going to be yours, and I'll do my best to make sure that they happen the way you want them to.
That is precisely my method as well with the captain. So I will make the caveat as don't interrupt and call me out in public. That's for private, but otherwise, absolutely.
Understood. Do you dance?
I have in the past.
She
look at the camera.
She kind of waves her chin towards the sparring area.
Aha. Also, yes. My dance card is empty, but not quite available to dance yet. There's a few more things I need to do once we're underway, but let's say tomorrow, perhaps. Let me get the walk the ship. I need to walk the width and breadth of it and just be on the ship a bit. But afterwards, absolutely.
Sure, first officer stuff. I get it.
Yeah, first officer stuff. And one of the few times where Kit Neal's nerves are kind of visible. It's just yes, I can do this, not a problem, but yes, I am now the first officer. Thank you for reminding me. Though he doesn't actually say that.
Yeah, first officer.
Yep. But no, absolutely. I need to speak with the captain, ensure that we are on the same page in terms of duty shifts and things like that. Because while we had a lengthy trip together, we did not have a lot of time to chat privately because there's not really a lot of privacy on a shuttle like that with 17 of us. So, yeah.
All right. Any questions for me?
Not at the moment. Thank you, Lieutenant.
All right. Any orders?
Carry on. We will probably talk about a couple shipwide drills probably a week after we're out. And things have kind of settled into a new normal.
Excellent. I've drafted up a schedule, so I'll be looking forward to reviewing that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Then she comes to attention again and leaves you alone in the security office.
Cool. Yeah, at that point, Commander Kit Neal is just going to do a quick couple notations of observations from the command crew, and just Kit Neal makes lots of notes about people,
Makes
because
sense
I mean, having two brains is great for keeping track of memories, but things start to blend. So keeping a actual list is useful. And other than that, probably going to touch base with any of the other department heads and basically make sure all of them know that if they have problems, to alert the XO first, so the XO can bring them to the captain. And because also going to talk to the captain when the captain is no longer busy, about what things do you actually want to know about right away, and what things do I just handle and you don't have to deal with. So I imagine at one point or another, I'm going to end up in a call or go see Dr. Hudson.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we do that one now, if you want?
Yep.
Why don't you have swung by to check on the med bay?
Probably not swinging by, probably sitting in my office making calls to different departments, but
you did say you were going to walk the width and breadth
that's
of the
true.
ship.
I guess I did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. So yeah, I will probably swing by medbay. I was in the neighborhood, and step in and Dr. Hudson, can I speak with you a minute?
Absolutely, Commander. Just the man I was looking for, actually.
Oh. Okay. Never good that the doctor is already looking for you. Okay. Well, then your office. Cool.
I'll, as you're coming in, introduce you to Nish Lorak.
Right. Not for. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Make our way into your office, and especially at this point. We've officially shed blood together now. Well,
you did.
Yeah. So yeah, but yeah,
I was plotting a star chart off the planet.
That's true. Okay, well,
You're in trying times.
Why don't you go first?
Sure. Yes, Nurse Lorak was just bringing a couple things to my attention as we were setting away, and we are trying to have baseline medical scans for the whole crew. That way, in case something does go wrong en route, we know what we're sort of starting from or what things should be, right?
Absolutely.
Sort of standard operating procedure. There are a few crew members that have not had these scans done. I'll be tracking them down. Your name was among the list, sir.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, you'd be willing to go through a scan process?
And there is a long thinking process where the commander kind of turns the curtains into the office.
Sort of wanders over towards the door and hits the close button.
Right. Looks and says,
now, Dr. Hudson's not super great at people, but even this is fairly obvious.
Yeah. And looks and says, Commander Hudson, Commander Hudson. Dr. Hudson. What are your
either's fine.
Thoughts on doctor-patient confidentiality?
I very much am supportive of it, unless that confidentiality would lead to a threat to the mission. Right.
Sure. Or to the crew. Absolutely. Okay. In that case, I will acquiesce to a scan so long as you maintain that the scan is confidential and for your eyes only, unless absolutely necessary.
Really? Is there something I should know?
It's been a while since I've done it this way. Let's do the scan first. We'll see what you think about it, and then we'll talk about it.
And notebook, curiosity.
Yeah, which is kind of what...
I'm scanner, but either way.
Yeah.
Data pad, whatever.
Yeah. And so, with that...
Sci-fi notebook.
Yeah.
It's a Kindle,
pad, I
is
think.
what it is.
But yes, with that, let's clear the nurse out. We'll go ahead and do the scan, and then we can discuss.
Sure. Nurse Lag, we're going to commence with a private scanning. Apparently the commander is a little shy.
Understood, Doctor. And then she takes a moment to do the math in her head. Oh, of course, Doctor. And then she leaves.
Dr. Kitneel is not great. Dr. Kitneal. Wow, that's totally not a person. Commander Kitneal is not great with medical, but can at least assist and help go through it all. But
it's a difficult zero
it's probably
task.
a one button thing, right?
I'm not even going to make it
lay down here.
Yeah.
All right. So there is something odd in the scan when you do your scan, and that's in the abdomen. There is I guess it would just come up straight. There's another biological life form present in the commander's abdomen. Time out. Lore-wise, for the folks kind of wondering what the hell's going on, the Trill were very concerned about other species finding out about their symbionts. And in the old series time frame, they kept that knowledge as secret as possible because they were worried that other species might see this as a resource and try to exploit it.
They were worried other Trill would fight over it.
Yes, also other Trill. So they were trying to keep that knowledge as secret as possible. Okay, time back in.
Yeah, and so Kitneal is buttoning back up and stuff, and just sitting back, grinning, and just letting the doctor peruse.
Commander, do you mind telling me what I'm looking at here?
Well, why don't you tell me? What sets you off first? The 2 sets of DNA, the 2 sets of brain waves, or the complete separate life form?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, okay. And kind of walking and kind of leads back into the office so the nurse can come back in and continues the conversation. So, Doctor, I am going to explain something to you that is known to very few outside of the Trill, and amongst the Trill, it is a private, personal matter. There are, and kind of gestures towards the scan, symbionts that the Trill bond with, join with in our terms. I am one of them. I am 2, you might say. There is Nurjad, family name, which I didn't bother writing down. Then there's the symbiont Kitneal. Together we are Nurjad Kitneal.
See.
The symbiont, excuse me, Kitneal is right about 350 years old. And I am the probably 6th or 7th, right, Craig? I'm trying to remember how often. Yeah, I am, the 7th host of the Kitneal symbiont. As such, I have access to about 350 years, 6 or 7 different lifespans of experience and knowledge, and this is just the next run of it.
That is fascinating.
I love that.
Very carefully trying to choose what is the least offensive word I can use here to convey how utterly curious but restrained I am right now.
Right now, Doctor, we are speaking doctor to patient. So if you need to vent something, if you need to ask something, if you need to get it out now, let's have it out. Once we leave here, then,
My only request would be for you to, in due course, in due time, fill me in on any specific processes or medical treatments that could be necessary in the long run, given any particular injuries. I don't know if the symbiont itself can be injured or given my specialty with infectious diseases and stuff like that, anything related to those processes. But your body and your culture is your own. It will not leave this room.
And quick data dump, which if I remember correctly, basically the symbionts are fairly resilient. They don't last long without a bonded host. So if Nerdshot dies, Kit Neal will die soon after.
And vice versa.
Right.
The symbiote, once it's been joined, the symbiote can't exist outside of a host for very long. And removal of the symbiote will kill the host in fairly short order.
Yike.
Yep, they are very much a dual life form.
The only other thing, which I will mention to you just so you are aware, in the event that you need to, I'm not going to ask you to lie, but potentially get creative with truth and or remain silent, is we really don't like transporters. They are safe and non-life threatening. But I pilot a shuttle for a reason. Where possible, I will almost always take the shuttle unless lives are on the line. It's debilitating.
Seeing as you are the XO, I think that you'll most likely have a stronger argument than any I would imagine.
And true.
But if you need me to concoct a sort of something in your file, then that can be done.
It's kind of what I thought. Generally speaking, this is one of those things that I imagine over time may come out amongst the crew, but I will delay that as long as possible. And then there's a bit of a more cultural data dump of like Trill are guarding of their symbionts kind of stuff. But other than that, does that meet your needs and expectations, Doctor?
Yes, thank you, Commander.
So, and Faux puts on a hat, putting on my exo hat. How are you settled in here as a department head and chief of
Very well. We are abundantly stocked with resources to fabricate more. It's would seem that they imagine us being in action, sir.
And potentially gone for 3 years with no easy resupply. Absolutely.
Well, yes. Even among my imagination of supplies needed for 3 years, I find us to be almost excessively stocked.
I see. Imagine Starfleet is trying to send us a message, but we're going to ignore it because clearly we will not need these supplies at all because everything will go just fine.
And just to give a little background lore-wise, the original 5-year missions from the Constellation class ships, the vast majority of those ships were lost.
Yeah.
And 2 of the ships survived, but the crew was all lost. So these exploration missions are dangerous, as Starfleet learned with Constellation missions. So
the Constellation is like Next Generation, or
no, the Constellation class is Star Trek Enterprise.
Yeah, I think
the Enterprise ship. That's the class of ship it was.
Yeah, basically the previous era.
Yeah, it's the big heavy cruisers that they sent in the original mission. Yeah.
That's where they started installing ship's counselors, right? As mandatory portion to the crew.
Yep.
All the stress people took.
Stress and loss of life and cool. And then how are you feeling in terms of staff? Because I know you have 1 nurse and a couple orderlies.
We'll be fine.
Okay. If personnel issues come up, or you imagine that they may come up, please let me know. I would love to find some enlisted personnel with nothing better to do than learn basic med and nursing skills. If nothing else, just a bit of cross training and get them to do something else on their day.
If that's what you wish, sir.
I'm just making sure that you have plenty of staff. Because I'll be honest, Doctor, your department is kind of up there in terms of my priorities. But if you are feeling comfortable and settled in, and I know we're a whopping 6 hours into our journey, but all right. Well, good to talk with you. My door is always open.
If I have needs of anything, I will come to you or the captain.
Absolutely. And then besides that, and kind of another like look around more casually, do you play poker? You familiar with poker?
Not often.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we invented it, so.
Do you play jazz? Because you invented jazz.
No.
Point made. Stands up, kind of
yes.
yeah. I play jazz saxophone. No. Okay. But well, in that case, especially if you don't play, I will definitely be providing you an invite to a poker game later this week.
Joy.
That's a great quote. A great callback to a quote, by the way.
Yeah.
What?
And would that be soon or?
Though, go ahead and clarify for Chris and those who may not be aware.
Oh yeah, there was a great interaction between Dr. McCoy and Spock. Somebody was talking about poker, and Spock said, "I'm not familiar with that game," and McCoy said, "I'd love to teach you."
But yes, scene for me.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so let's open up our next scene in the engine room, and Captain Chuchalor definitely there. I think Commander might also be there as part of getting to know the ship.
Yep.
And you guys are in the engine room, and this is without a doubt the cleanest, most organized engine room you have ever seen.
I already have concerns.
The tool storage, everything is exactly where it's supposed to be. There's restraining clips on everything. There's no boxes of stuff. They're all like stored and packed. And
wow.
The crew is like all at attention as you come in, like arrayed at various points around the ship, sort of at their posts.
Wow.
And you meet Chief Engineer Jiffis. He's slightly tall, fairly thin for a Vulcan, and very like flat-toned, very precise. And
very Vulcan.
Speaking. More so. His diction is spot on. Like he's very precise about everything that he does.
Oh wow!
There is no wasted movement. He doesn't shuffle. When he's not moving, he's not moving. When he is, he's going from A to B as efficiently as possible. That kind of stuff. He's very organized mentally. So he gives you guys a tour of engineering, and the place. Like you could. And as a first officer, like this would be a thing you're familiar with. Like the whole place would pass the white glove test, which kind of makes you wonder, like, what is he having his crew spend all of their time on? But you're only like at this point, you're probably a day out of space dock, so there's probably not a lot to keep them busy otherwise. But he seems. Not proud, but he's definitely taken ownership of the engine room and the engines and the support systems on board ship. And just in conversation with him, like this guy knows his stuff cold. You have the feeling that he could probably rebuild every single system in the ship from the ground up, without reference manuals, given enough time and resources.
Yeah. Well, Captain. Go ahead. I'll wait.
And unless there's some interaction you want to have with him, that's all I had for Jiffis, unless you have questions or anything like that.
Yeah, I do want to say something to him.
Sure.
And I also, trying to negotiate the whole player versus character interjections. So Ralph doesn't want to be rude, even if Captain Chuchalor would take the lead.
Sure.
So Captain Chichalor addresses the chief engineer and says, and he's a lieutenant commander, I'm assuming, right? That's his rank.
Yes.
Okay, great. Says, Commander Jiffis, you do your post and your people credit. I'm impressed with how meticulously arranged everything is here in the engine room, and I trust that for the entire duration of our mission, we'll be in your capable and deliberate hands.
Indeed, sir.
I would like to mention something to you, and I tend to wax slightly verbose when I'm getting to know a new crew. So forgive me if this encroaches a little bit on your own preferences for interaction. But it's quite important to me that I can trust every single member of this crew to act according to not just their own preferences, but the collective preferences of what I hope will ultimately become a family and a unified team. I believe that we all take action and make choices, and those things affect the choices of others. Our thoughts are connected. The outcomes of our goals are connected. So, this is not chiding. This is not speculation. As I said, this is just a reminder I provide to everyone that they make sure that everything they do is not just in their own best interest or to their own specific preferences, but to what we all as a crew have determined. And considering we operate in a command hierarchy, it is going to be primarily up to myself and significantly up to Commander Kitniel to determine what that means.
Understood, sir.
Thank you.
If
Commander
I may
Kitniel?
offer a counterpoint.
Okay, sorry. He can go, yeah.
I view my task, and you're certainly free to redirect my efforts if you wish, but I view my task is to make sure that I provide the resources that you and this crew need to perform your jobs. So I have oriented the engineering department around those goals of making sure that the resources you need are there when you need them.
Wonderful. And then Captain Chichalor turns to Commander Kitniel and says, Commander Kitniel, I now defer to you.
Nothing further at this time.
It's very much like a courtroom. All right. Call scene there, unless there's anything to add.
Yeah. Commander Chichalor will then just look at every single crew member in the eye, slowly in turn, and say, I thank you all on joining me on what I hope will be an amazing and fruitful mission.
Give me a presence command roll or an insight.
Awesome.
Yes.
To presence command. Heck yay. All right. Do it.
That's like literally your best combination, right?
Yeah, that's what he's focused on.
So,
Team dynamics.
Let me flavor this a little bit.
Go ahead.
Presence command is going to be like you sort of trying to reassure everybody, but an insight command would be getting a read on what they're really feeling.
Oh, I see.
So
interesting.
what are you looking for from the interaction with this crew?
Okay. Commander Chichalor is, one of his focuses is team dynamics. He perceives that this is a very strict set of team dynamics here, or someone's determined this, right? Like, Andorians are bold, they express their passions, and somebody's in charge, but people aren't, in rigid lines as though they're tin soldiers. So he comes in a room and he sees everybody acting as though they're about to be reprimanded. He's concerned a little bit about that. So the whole point of him saying this to Commander Jiffis is that he needs to remind him that, yeah, you're in charge of chief engineering, but everyone else in this is a crew, this is a ship, so you're one portion of it. And so him looking at everyone is like, look, I see all of you. Commander Jiffis is right here, but I'm the captain. And I just also mentioned Commander Kitniel. Okay, so he's trying to reassure them that, like,
so
I
presence
see you.
Command, yeah.
Yeah, I see you, right? Like, he knows they're having something going on, but right now his role is to remind them that he's the captain and they report partially to Commander Jiffis,
ultimately to
ultimately,
you. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so definitely a presence command role for that.
All right, cool. And I'm hoping that I can rely on my team dynamics or diplomacy. Focus.
Team dynamics for sure.
Excellent. Cool. Focus use, complication. Great. Presence command. Roulette.
Excellent. 2 successes.
Bam. Fantastic.
So I'll let you. We're kind of not really into that yet, so we won't worry about the momentum. But for that extra one, I'll give you a bit of a boost and say that the engineering crew sort of visibly not visibly, but just mentally relaxes a little because based on the interaction they have with you, they know that you have their back.
Yes, absolutely.
And as a result of that, they are more engaged into this isn't just avoiding the problems that Jiffis may be posing, but they're working for you.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's just directing those. So
exactly.
They end up feeling much better having met you.
All right, wonderful.
From that interaction. Excellent.
That's what he's trying to do with every department to the best of his ability.
All right. Next one I had on docket was Wing Commander Levine.
Cool. And I should say now, just for the sake of easy precedent,
sure.
That if Commander Kitneal is inclined to go with the captain to each of these departments to talk to people, he would definitely invite that. So it's up to the commander, right? He'd be like, you want to come along with me? We're doing this together, right? I'm captain, but this isn't like I tell you what to do. It's like I chose you to be the first officer for a reason.
Yep.
Cool.
All right. So you find Wing Commander Levine in the fighter. They have a sort of ready room area, a briefing room and some offices off the side and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Very close to the shuttle bays. So you find her there. She, as I stated before, she has chosen in her uniform style to wear the miniskirt. Mm-hmm. And she rises and greets you as you come in and says, Captain, nice to see you again. I assume this is just your tour of the ship, getting to know everybody?
You assume correctly.
Excellent. I'm really looking forward to this trip. It's going to be exciting.
I agree.
So where should we start? Do you want to see the birds or talk to the guys?
I think people are always my chief concern, as I'm sure you might be aware. So let's talk to the folks, and then we can see the ships.
They are a little rough. Just, I don't know how sometimes people are a little put off by, the pointy end of the spear people. There's a certain personality type that embraces that. And sometimes the higher ups don't have difficulty relating to that. I just wanted to make sure that you're prepared that they might be challenging.
Well,
that makes sense.
She doesn't know you very well.
Right. Kitneal makes eye contact with the captain and going...
And then, he says, Churchill says, well, it's thoughtful of you to inquire as to that. I'm not unfamiliar with the rough side of life. And then he pulls out his Ushantor and says, I won this by right.
The captain who's not afraid to get his hands dirty.
Exactly.
I like it.
Back away.
All right. And she takes you through the briefing room into the barracks. And it's the guys just kind of hanging out. Some folks are polishing boots. And as she comes in, she's just calls out, Captain on deck! And everyone leaps up and stands at the foot of their bunks and stuff. Looking a little bit proper, somewhat disheveled, a couple of them. That kind of stuff. They're not disrespectful, but they know what their job is, and their job isn't to stand at parades and stuff. Their job is to go out there and throw their lives on the line.
That's right.
Protect the ship and crew.
It's extremely risky.
Yeah. Yep. So you've got a whole wing of fighter pilots, all
fantastic.
Look like they're ready to go. Different species, different genders. They're all kind of bunk in the same area. This is the fighter wing.
And they would all be enlisted?
Some of them would be enlisted. Some of them would be junior officers.
Okay.
So there's divisions and flights and things like that within the wing.
Who's the junior most officer there?
junior-most officer.
Yeah.
So Levine points out this young female, Denobulan.
Okay. Captain Chichalor approaches that officer and says, "Officer, what is your rank?"
Ensign, sir.
It's nice to meet you, Ensign.
Oh, you're going to catch me off guard. Okay.
Well, then you don't have to say a name. You can say insert name or something like that.
Yeah, Ensign, female Denobulan. Okay.
Okay, gotcha. And he said, "Nice to meet you, Ensign. Why did you?" Oh, actually, let me think about this differently. He would say, "Have you flown in a squadron before?"
Yeah, in training, sir.
Training is important.
I was a shuttle pilot before I enlisted. I have some experience in backcountry rough flying.
Ah, you've made a courageous choice.
Thank you, sir.
I won't condescend to you by describing the dangers associated with participating in a fighter squadron. What I will say is this, that sometimes courage can lead us to make risky decisions with uncertain outcomes. And the most important thing I have learned in such situations is that it is better to ask for help before things are a problem than to ask for it afterwards. And that is a motto I stick to for my own sake. I think as you and everyone else in this crew will come to realize, I will be relying on everyone here. And he starts turning to look and talk to and address all the other fighter pilots. He says, I will be relying on Commander Kitniel heavily, as much as I will rely on my own judgment. I will also be relying on the unique contributions of every single person on this ship, because I was ultimately responsible for choosing them. We are here together, and we're here to return, and I intend for all of us to return together. And so, I'm a fan of bold action and risky maneuvers, and you are all definitely chosen for your capacity in that regard. Just remember, you always want to take careful risk rather than the alternative.
Behind you, like off to your shoulder, when Commander Levine just says, "What's our priorities?" And in unison, everyone in the room says, "Ship, wingman, self." And Levine says, "I think our priorities are in the same direction, sir."
Wonderful, Wing Commander. And then he turns, of course, to Commander Kitniel. Says, "Commander Kitniel?"
I know some of you are going to be bored out of your mind sitting on the ship. If any of you have the idea for recreational use of these shuttles, please speak with me. And we may work something out.
Yes! Whew.
All right.
I better hope none of this recreation leads to Dr. Hudson having work to do.
Lieutenant Commander Levine sort of ushers towards her office if you'd like to join her.
Sure.
And you walk through. She says, "There are some seasoned vets in there and some eager greenhorns. We got them paired up. We should be able to rise to whatever challenges the ship ends up facing."
Wonderful.
And then closes the door as Commander gets through, and I have one very important question for you.
Yes.
Are you going to require this to be a dry ship?
Kitniel grins and leans back against the wall.
All right. Well, I'll elaborate more on what I've tried to imply to people in different departments. I have high expectations for competence and trust. That does not preclude people from enjoying themselves. I may look as though I'm more inclined to human sensibilities, but I grew up in Andoria. and I am as much Andorian as I am anything else. So, if the members of your squadron feel that relaxing with a little bit of spirits is the important way to soothe their psyche on this lonely mission into deep space, I won't complain, provided that it does not impair their duties. However, I don't give 3 strikes. Let me be explicit. If someone's drunk at duty, Commander Kitniel will come down here, and they will not be happy that he has arrived.
She walks over towards a locker as she's speaking. She says, if Commander Kitniel has to come down here because someone's drunk on duty, then you should fire me out an airlock.
Noted, Wing Commander.
And then she opens up her locker, swings the door open, and you notice that there's several sort of boudoir photos of different species, different genders, kind of plastering the inside of her locker.
Yeah.
And she reaches in, you hear some clinking of glass, and she pulls out 3 shot glasses and a tall blue bottle. And she sets it down on her desk, and she says, "New voyage. Shall we have a toast?"
Well, I think I can handle my liquor at this point in the inspection.
Fair enough. And she pours up 3 shots. Well, she offers, Commander.
Nope.
Fair enough. So she pours up 2 shots, hands one to the captain, and she says, "To new voyages and discoveries."
New voyages and discovery.
We're going to get into a fucked up first contact because these idiots got some titties on a goddamn shuttle.
All right.
Violating the Prime Directive.
I think that's scene.
There is just the one moment of the Wing Commander being invited to the poker game, which this may be the first time that Captain Chuchalor has heard about the poker game.
Oh, true. Okay. All right. So after having a drink in the toast, the commander says, "Go with the poker game," and Wing Commander Levine is 100% on board with that idea.
Cool.
And as you guys leave the Wing Commander's office, did you have questions or anything? Are we good with the scene, or are you just sort of taking it in stride that there's going to be a poker game?
Oh, you mean Captain Chichalor?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. So Captain Chichalor wasn't going to ask that question. He'll wait until they get in the hallway and they're walking away. And he says, "Poker game, huh?"
Indeed, Captain. It's my way of maintaining friendly communication with department heads. Obviously, no real stakes, but it's there. I don't think it is necessary nor helpful to my intentions that you join said game, but there's always a spot open should you wish to join us.
Oh, you know me. My point is not to encroach on people's sensibilities, just to know what's happening. So I'll leave it to you.
Yeah. The goal is to make sure that there is a friendly communication between myself and the department heads. I need to talk to Jiffus, and imagine they're like talking in the turbo lift. You know?
Yeah, that's right.
Like, wait, it's just you and me right now.
Yeah, it's time for the private conversation. That sounds good.
Right. So we'll have to speak with Jiffus about that. I don't know how well poker is going to go over with the Vulcan, but we'll see. Because either it's going to be an absolute travesty, or he is going to wipe the floor with us. Because
he seems to understand rules.
But that poker face was inscrutable. So I may have to have another way to bond with Jiffus. Which is that looking to the Admiral Craig in the sky. Were there any other departments that we needed to visit with?
I think we covered everything.
Okay.
Helmsman and stuff like that. Yeah, with Ash Mission, we'll cover that one next time. So things like the Helmsman and stuff all fall under you.
Right.
So I haven't got a named helmsman because they all kind of fall under you on the security side of things. So,
Right.
That's all sort of the tactical operations kind of stuff. So weapons crews and stuff all fall under you as well, but I haven't worked out department heads for that or anything like that. They'll just sort of fall under that umbrella.
Cool. So in that case,
yeah, we can have our conversation.
Right. So as talking, and unless the captain we can talk about this when we get into my office.
We can keep talking.
Okay.
If anything becomes private, then he'll say, for the sake of mutual respect.
Right. But no, for the most part, Kit Neal just goes through, any concerns, which currently, again, we're 6 hours in. There aren't any immediate concerns. Does mention that he plans to work with the squadron because at the end of the day, Kit Neal is a shuttle pilot and, likes doing that stuff and basically working out, Blue Angels kind of stuff. If nothing else, to get them out, flying, moving, and especially for the Greenhorns, just more time at the helm, and also so everybody can plaster and look against the window and watch, and stuff like that. It provides something else, especially when you're at warp for a week. It's okay, hang on, we need something else other than stars flying by. And because we have no holodeck.
Yep, holodecks do not exist in this day and age.
Right. So we have to have other entertainment. And watching me fight. Oh, actually, Captain, we may have to talk. Lieutenant Chisara. Hang on. This is a problem with having OBS. I don't have everybody's names handy.
Javor.
Oh,
yeah,
Javor.
Javor. Chief of Security.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I would love to watch you two. And you can come down. We'll do a whole thing. We'll have all the. I don't know. Dr. Hudson looks like he probably has a decent left hook, but I don't know.
Well, Lieutenant Zeckelman, I don't know if you reviewed her service record, but she is quite skilled at defending herself.
Zeckelman. Have I already zoned?
Ash.
Yeah,
yes.
Ash
yes. She held her own on the planet. So yeah, I imagine there may be a bit of a
Officers Fight Club.
Well, more
no. Self-defense drills.
Self-defense drills, and also fighting for department. Pride.
Points are. Makes complete sense to me.
Because that's Kit Neal's thing. Besides that, coming back around and probably at this point, finally once within the study, and privately. So Jiffus.
Yes. So I believe, or no, he wasn't saying believe. I trust that I communicated myself well to the members of his department, and so I suspect that if the implications I derived from their attitudes and his demeanor prove to be true, that we will need to, 1, engage him, and 2, we might hear about it from a member of engineering.
Correct.
They are our employees. And so before we start talking about other things, I should address my general perspective on leadership and command, which I think you have observed, at least to some extent, in the course of the things that we did on Xerxes 4. So we are part of Starfleet, and I believe strongly in a command structure because the terrible things that happen in dangerous circumstances happen because of poor training and because of a lack of adherence to the chain of command. The reason why we train, the reason why we know who to report to, is so that when things get dangerous, we don't make mistakes in who we share information with and with what kind of decisions we make on our own. So, I also believe that it's extremely important not to encroach on a person's ability to make their own choices. And that's why I have chosen everyone here in the crew to support the way that I like to command. which is making ultimate decisions with explicit and consistent input from people who have greater expertise than I do. And removing that agency if people disappoint me by not taking advantage of the freedom I'm giving them. I don't give people rope with which to hang themselves. I hang them immediately upon violating the rule. And I expect you to make sure that we all adhere to that, including myself.
Glad we had this conversation, Captain. We're on like terms.
Excellent. And of course, you can speak freely, provided that we are in private, or if it is a risky situation and I'm going to hang the whole crew in the course of my desire for some glorious, bold action.
I promise, Captain, that if you endanger the crew, I will take you out myself.
Wonderful.
So I'm going to go talk to Jiffis logically first. Because
so the captain actually laughs when you say that.
Yeah. Because I'm curious how long he thinks that he can maintain his crew at 100% and giving us 100% output. Because I don't know how long they were in space dock, and then the now 10 hours that they have been on shift, and they are already looking a little bit worn and haggard. They look pretty, but you saw it. So
I did indeed. I trust your judgment.
I just want to have that first conversation. I have fond memories of many a Vulcan, and I'm going to try and nip this one in the bud. Which brings me to a second point, Captain.
Please.
Are you familiar with the Trill?
To a limited degree.
Have you served with Trill before?
I served with one drill officer who, I would say, did their people credit. Or no, why would he say that? Speaking in hypotheticals, he's just drill right here. That's rude. He'd say, he did your people credit.
All right. I will speak obliquely. I've already spoken with the doctor about this, but do not take my visible age as a summary of my experience. This does not apply to all Trill, and as I get to know you better, Captain, I will speak on this further, but I just read what Perry said. Fuck you. Sorry, everybody else. Perry notes that he has served with a trillion. Okay. But once we get to know each other a little bit more, I'll probably end up speaking on this a little bit more. But I have a lot of Trill ancestral knowledge that I can draw on. That
seems useful.
It is. It is also a bit of a burden. Regardless, that said, while I am no expert in everything, I do have the odd pearl that I have managed to memorize, we'll say. So,
wow. Okay,
approximate knowledge of many things.
Yes, that's right. I'm playing Perry.
That's a deep cut Adventure Time reference.
Yes.
That was
awesome. But
how
that
fortunate
said,
to have such a well-informed first officer.
I try to be, so that I can eventually be a well-informed captain. If there's nothing further, Captain.
Let me just reflect some empathy in that I do understand the notion of cultural burdens and also have no interest in invading a person's privacy unless it encroaches upon my ability to defend the safety and goals of everyone on my ship. No, he would say everyone on our ship. So You can keep your own counsel until you feel like you can trust me sufficiently, or if it proves that the information you are keeping to yourself does not at any point become relevant in your ability to satisfy your duties to the ship and the relationship you have with me, I won't hold it against you.
And should I find myself unconscious and for some reason you need information about the drill, again, you can speak with the doctor.
Okay. You got it. In such situations, I think I'm more inclined to rely on the doctor anyway.
Indeed.
So I appreciate the reminder.
But otherwise...
Damn right.
Yeah. There's only one doctor here. Yes. Otherwise, Nurjad basically heads out to probably organize a poker game while he's delaying speaking with Jiffis.
Yeah.
I kind of want to get that in before break, though, if that's all right with you.
That's true. Yeah.
So let's call it a couple days later. You guys have been away for a while, and the commander shows up at Jiffis' office, or would you summon Jiffis to see you?
So I know we're jumping forward a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Has Nurjad heard any complaints about engineering?
No.
Okay, cool. Then yes, it will be a quick little visit down at engineering.
Sure. So you find Jiffis in his office.
Perfect.
He rises as soon as you enter, stopping the conversation that he was having with a couple of crewmen. This is Commander.
Shoot, I can't remember his rank. Commander?
Lieutenant Commander.
Yeah. No, Commander, go ahead and finish your conversation. I can wait.
Oh, we were just discussing contingency plans for our emergency playbook. It can wait, sir.
Okay. Ensigns, I will borrow the commander for a minute, if you will.
No problem. They scurry out.
Sure. Commander Jiffis, what percentage of the engineering department's capacity do you think you're at?
Available capacity or currently utilized?
Yes.
We are currently operating at 97%. Available capacity, I have 37% on duty at this time.
Okay. How long do you think you can continue to hold us at a astounding 97% efficiency?
I'm not sure. I may have misunderstood your initial question.
I'm not
available resource. In an emergency, I can muster 97%, but we currently have 37 or so on duty at this time.
Let me rephrase. The 37% who are currently on duty, how far are you pushing them to their capabilities?
Mm-hmm.
This is a workload question.
Yes.
We are not currently fully tasked, if that is the manner of your concern, sir.
Okay. How not at 100% are you?
I'm not certain I understand the question. When we're not currently engaged in maintenance and operational duties, we are doing other associated tasks during our 8-hour duty shift, such as contingency planning and coming up with adjustments to the emergency playbook.
So within the 8-hour shift, they are working 8 hours.
No, sir. They have time off
breaks
and
absolutely,
recreation.
yes. But you have them working their entire shift with requisite breaks and lunch and such.
That's right.
Okay. How long do you think you can keep up morale with that kind of schedule and, for lack of a better term, busy work?
See him cock his head and you can see the gears turn. Is there a problem, Brandon?
I hope there is not, and I hope that there continues to not be. But I am seeing the foreshadowing of concerns from my personal experience working on a ship. If
this.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
If a crew, a department is kept running at maximum efficiency, their available time is used to the absolute maximum, including making emergency contingencies on contingencies. And that's Drew making sure I understood what he was saying. And keeping engineering, of all places, spotless, that morale will slowly deplete.
I think I understand your concerns, sir. Allow me to lay those concerns. The standard duty shift on board is an 8-hour duty shift. I'm sure you are very familiar with that, including some break times and meal times and things like that. Then we schedule 8 hours for secondary duties and recreational time, depending on the ship's schedule. And then they have 8 hours of off time, presumably for rest or whatever other activities they wish to engage in. My people are not working 16-hour days or anything like that. I will admit that we did have to push them during the recent communications refit in order to get that work done in time for our launch. And as a result, I have backed off on their regularly scheduled duties to allow them time to recuperate. I'm aware that that sentient beings have physical limitations, and I account for those in my plan.
I believe then that my concerns for now are allayed, but I do have concerns with... Sorry, Drew's brain just froze here. Watch
Sure.
while it reboots. Diminishing returns upon certain work being done. Should, say, for instance, the engineering be kept spotless? Yes. Does it need to be? What level of return do you get upon the labor? This is perhaps from a trill perspective, but there are amounts of labor that, from a less logical mind, begin to approach punishment rather than work.
And do you believe I may be erring in that direction?
It is possible, but I have had no complaints, which, thank you. Sorry, we're getting way too close to reality here. And real job stuff. Sorry. Yes, because of the possibility of busy work, make work, or work that appears as punishment or something to merely fill time has a negative morale effect. If it is absolutely necessary, then I am not going to get in the way. You know more about our engineering bay than I do, but the crew matter the most to me, so I am fine with engineering running at 95% capacity if the morale of the engineering crew is kept elevated. So when we do find ourselves in an emergency situation where we have to push the ship to 110 capacity, they have the energy, they have the willpower, and they have the morale to not only do the job, but to energetically and enthusiastically perform the job.
He sort of takes a breath, raises an eyebrow, and then walks over towards a display unit on his wall and punches up some stuff on the control pad, and you see this large graph show up on the control pad.
He's quantified.
Hopefully.
And he says, I believe I understand your concerns, sir. While I do not necessarily understand the details behind morale, as you can see here when he points to the graph, I'm well aware of the relative morale has a direct input on the efficiency of the crew. And there's amount of effort put in on one line, and then you can see the efficiency start to fall off. And right at that point where we are, sir, is the sweet spot, I believe is the Earth term, where maximum efficiency is obtained. And then he produces another data pad, and then there's a list of departmental priorities that's 287 items long. Number 113
I love
is
this man.
Item number 113, because he scrolls it through before he hands it to you. Item 113 is cleanliness of engineering room.
That there are another 150 items below this.
Below this, yes, but they are like much more cosmetic, like paint this and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Soften the corners on that because of possible injury for brushing past and that kind of thing. So as he hands you this data pad, he says, if you wish to adjust any of those priorities, that is certainly within your previous.
does do a quick skim. Actually, probably a actual read over of priorities. But no, Commander, this I would say it's unorthodox, but at the same time, I imagine that this is probably very orthodox Vulcan management. I have had experience serving with, but not under a Vulcan, so I'm not sure. But handing the data pad, it looks like you have this well in hand, and I apologize for jumping the gun, I think is the Earth phrase. But no, I basically wanted to ensure that the crew was not run ragged. You have not run the crew ragged and have clearly made allowance for recovery and morale.
He sort of inclines his head. The statement of apology implies offense or perhaps wounded ego. I have neither.
No, in this particular case, the apology is a admission of a personal mistake.
I see no error in the first officer evaluating the efficiency of the engineering department. You are certainly within your purview to question my methods.
Commander Jiffis, do you play poker?
I have heard of the game, and I'm somewhat curious. It's an interesting mix of chance and probability.
Yep.
Chance and probability are the same thing, Commander, but it is also a measure of reading one another. I think you will be a very interesting opponent in poker, and I look forward to better being able to read you. So if you would like, I have arranged a poker game. It will be hopefully a regular game with myself and several of the other department heads. The invitation is open. I strongly encourage, but do not mandate your attendance.
I would be gratified to attend. It would be an interesting exercise, and I am curious about how the game is played in actuality.
Fabulous. Thank you, Commander. And Nerdjod out.
All right,
this guy's fucking awesome.
Just a little tap on the communicator to Nerdjod to the captain.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Commander Kitneo, go ahead.
Engineering is going to be just fine, sir.
I'm glad I made the right choice.
Awesome. That was much fun. I really enjoyed that. Okay.
That was so good.
I think that takes us to break. Unless there's any last second things anyone wants to get in.
No, I think we're good.
Okay. So thank you once again for joining us, everybody. I'm having so much fun with this. I hope you guys are too.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
Make sure you join us on Discord. That's at yeetinto.space. It's an excellent community. And if you like bad puns, dad jokes, burbs, animals, all kinds of stuff, there's channels for just about everybody. There's spoiler-free sections and spoilery sections, so you don't have to worry about getting things ruined for you and stuff like that. And we're really good about no geeks beers, and it's just a great community. So make sure you come and join us there. Again, that's eatinto.space. If you feel so inclined to support us on Patreon, that's staylucky.club. We the funds we gain there go towards refreshing equipment and replacing broken stuff and paying for artwork, which I'm so excited to see.
Oh, yeah.
We have samples of the new character designs, first drafts and stuff like that up on Patreon. But I believe they're open to everybody.
It's for the Sleepwalker and Cultist tiers, so the $5 and $10.
So everybody have a look at the new drawings that will be coming out if you're on the Patreon. And I guess that's it. So Twitch folks, we'll see you after the break. YouTube guys, we'll see you in a few days. And thanks very much.
Join us next time for more bold action.